Hi guys, welcome once more to Havilah's of Marriage, your favorite YouTube channel where we
Hmm.
give you first-hand content on relationships, marriage, and the family. Today we are going to be focusing on an aspect of the family concerning children. We also benefit from the expertise of my beautiful wife, who is a parent coach as well. So today we are going to be talking about how to regain your child's confidence. What do you
Wow.
do when your child starts losing his or her confidence? Yeah,
How to
we'll begin
help
by
the
first of all
child.
looking at what confidence is all about. Confidence here, there are two aspects of confidence, but we're focusing on one aspect that concerns with self. Having a firm trust or belief in yourself or in your abilities. So that when
Yeah.
our children are growing up, we see them demonstrate a lot of different characteristics. Sometimes it takes some risks that you're asking yourself that, oh God, you can only be praying for them. Then suddenly you start seeing the child behaving so sluggish, so afraid.
Locked up in
Sometimes
his or her shell.
and so it is somehow funny. So sometimes we want to examine first the things that could cause this. As well as what could be responsible for a child that's so jovial, so strong, so in control, and suddenly the child starts getting withdrawn and losing her confidence and that.
One thing that helps a child to be that outgoing and bold is because they feel they're in control. They feel the territory belongs to them. They are in charge. The moment that is threatened, and especially if it's repeated, it makes them to start sucking it into themselves, feeling hurt, and they don't want to talk again. So it's a kind of resentment that they feel. And you're not careful, some children go into bitterness. Sometimes it can happen if a younger sibling comes into the picture and the all attention is immediately shifted from that child to the baby, and nobody's even asking the child again how the child is doing. Sometimes since they are children, we tend not to think that they feel they have feelings. Children have feelings.
Yeah.
Children can be hurt
Yes.
as small as they are, and we cannot
Mm.
undermine that. The moment a child feels that he or she's no longer in control, it can either get wild or locks up. So that two extremes, and the child can just resort to any of them. Those who get wild, sometimes, most of the time, maybe they're males, they'll start having some attitudes or go out to look for friends, blah blah blah. But there's some that also suck up themselves, and then most of the time, the ladies will just withdraw and be at their corner, and then now become very afraid. That's one characteristic you see of them. They become afraid to express themselves. They no longer feel confident because they think that whatever they are saying is not even correct. They used to be the cheerleaders. They would cheer them up. They were the one taking the stage, the one in charge and doing everything. Now, nobody's
Yeah,
even
replace
noticing what
them
they
with
are doing.
another child that just came.
So they start
And
losing their self-esteem
you feel that they are disturbing when they come around you. They used to have all your time. Now another child has come and they no longer have access to you.
at all.
They come, you send them away.
Away.
They start feeling as if they are a nuisance to you, and so they look for their space.
Yeah.
What about those that start school? These toddlers or children that start school and then they
Yes.
meet their friends in school. Sometimes they
Hmm.
return home and you realize a child that was so strong in the house now starts behaving.
So
Uh,
withdrawn at home. That's true. It's also a similar thing when they go to school, for example. There are several factors that can cause children to suck up and just withdraw completely from who they were. One of the factors is if they get to school and nobody is associating with them as they thought or as they felt in the house. They're not receiving that attention, that care, that concern, either from their friends or from the teacher that is in charge of them. Another thing can be if they have classmates that are more domineering. Maybe, for example, there's a classmate that keeps warning the child, keeps
mm,
scolding, bullying. The child will just suck up and become very quiet and withdrawn. Sometimes the child may try to fight. Then if you fight and he or she is being defeated, it's going to cause her to withdraw or him to withdraw and you not want to do that again. Sometimes it can be abuse in extreme cases. Maybe the teacher is just tired that day, either from the teacher or from a fellow colleague. The teacher is just tired and overwhelmed. And then she tends to really just punish the child, in one way. Sometimes child can feel rejected based on the attitude that he or she receives from the teacher. And that's why I'm sure all of us growing up, you can remember that particular madam. I was always a madam, primary school that madam was that particular madam that whenever you see her, you want to just disappear. Or that particular sir that when you see you think about the whip. Such things register in the minds of a child. And if that's a first experience or several experiences a child has with a particular teacher, the child will just shut up. And that's why sometimes you see a child can be in a particular class, very outgoing, very happy, jovial, talking, a friend to the teacher. And the child goes to the next class and you see a total different behavior. Child keeps crying in school. For younger children, for example, the child may not even want to go to school again. Children generally have their mood swings. Today they want to go to school,
Mm,
tomorrow they don't want to go to school. When a
mm.
child persistently refuses to go to school, day in and day out, then something is wrong somewhere. We'll talk about how to handle it. I don't want to talk about the
Really, yeah.
solution.
So you realize that at home there are things that parents could do that would destroy or affect a child's confidence.
Yeah.
For example, a child that's free who wants to take some risks. We realize that you don't have to limit them a lot. When you start limiting them, oh, don't go
Hmm.
here, don't do this, don't do that, they feel oppressed. They actually feel oppressed and
And
they'll get angry, they'll withdraw. Sometimes when you do that, they'll disturb them all. So what we do is that you stay, anyway, we'll come to that, but you stay around them, watch them do those things and guide them. Sometimes a newborn comes, as my sweet wife is sharing, you give so much attention to that newborn that you forget that another one is around. And then you start behaving even hostile towards the other one. Or sending the
you know,
one
somebody say,
out of your
baby,
room,
go
out of
out.
your house. You don't want the one around you again, and the child starts feeling unwanted. So this is how this thing comes about.
And sometimes it's unconscious, especially postpartum. Postpartum comes a lot of stress on both parents and especially on the mother, for example, especially
Yes.
maybe the type of birth that you had.
Mm.
Sometimes can just be really stressful and handling maybe especially the other one is a toddler, or if there are two toddlers and a baby now, sometimes you can get really stressed that you just shout at or push the child, drive the child without really thinking about the consequence of your action or your words on that child. I remember it happened to me. I didn't really notice it. Just the work was just too much at one point. So I was like, okay, you're now big girls, okay? Take care of yourselves. Give me space. Let me handle the baby. It's when I noticed that one made a comment that don't worry, mommy will refuse. Don't even bother asking her. She's not going to give you permission to do that. And I was like, what? Why do you think I'm going to refuse? They wanted to ask for permission to do something. And the other one was like, she's just going to say no. So they didn't bother asking her. I really know the response. And then when I sat back, I began to reflect. I'm like, maybe I was stressed. Okay, it's time to start solving the problem.
Wow. Okay, we have already said some things.
So another thing that can affect the confidence of your child is if, apart from a younger baby coming into the family, maybe an elderly baby or an elderly child comes into the picture, into your home, and like takes the position of your child. Maybe your child felt that he or she was in charge, and then suddenly all authority has been handed over to another person, and he or she doesn't longer feel in charge or in control. It can also affect the child's confidence. So you need to know how to balance. If it happens that that child maybe is the elder sibling, is elderly to that child, and maybe just came in, you should know how to still make the child feel important and have his or her place in as much as an elder sibling is now around. It should be a gradual transfer, and the child should understand why decisions are being taken the way they are being taken. If it's so sudden and abrupt, it breaks the child, and the child suddenly closes up and feels that it's no longer important. It destroys not only the child's confidence, but the child's self-esteem start being affected, and it's always a serious issue.
Yeah, that's why you see some children grow up, even when they come to Christ, no matter how they are taught on faith, they are still afraid. They
I
still
tell
feel
you.
incapable because they were taught that they were incapable. They were made to feel that they could not take risks, they could not do some things,
Yeah.
they were not strong enough, they were not the first. So if you have an elderly child around the age of your child who comes home, treat both of them as first. Give each of them their place. The tendency is until you start punishing your child sometimes or making a child feel selfish and so on, and it hurts the child the more. I
Yeah,
remember
it
one
does.
time I punished her daughter, and she went and told the sisters that daddy punished me for nothing. A small child. So, when I evaluated it, I realized that she was right. So I had to call and apologize. Parents should learn to apologize to their children when they are truly wrong, or when you misunderstand them. Yeah,
Yeah.
really. So now, one to see, we have already shared some, but what are the signs? What are the things that when you notice them, this is a sign that your child losing his or her confidence?
Right. So some of the signs that you can notice, of course, it's not exhaustive. It's not exhaustive. Children are
Well,
different. The first thing is it's easier to notice when when the child was an outgoing child, for example, and the child now sucks up to him or herself. It's easier to notice. But the first thing generally is that you should know your child. Why am I not using children? Because children are unique. Each child, if you have five children and then you have five child to focus on. So take
mm,
one as an individual and an entity. Means that the more the children, the more they work, that's what it means. Everything that your full attention to be given to each child. So know the child in front of you. If you have five children, know each of them as individuals. What is specific to them? What do they like? How do they behave? When you punish them, for example, when you scold at them, you need to look at them, look at their facial expression, look at how they behave, and all of that. When you're having your one-on-one time with them, you diagnose the type of who the child is. Now, when you start seeing changes, those changes can be to the negative or to the positive. To the negative in the sense that they suck up themselves, and then the other extreme in the sense that they now become more outgoing. You start noticing some tendencies in the child that were not first of all there. That's something that you need to not neglect. Take time to talk about it and diagnose what's happening. So you know the child, if the child was the outgoing type, and then the child becomes now very quiet, there's a problem. If, for example, the child starts having issues with fright, some children just sit and the listing, you see how to shake, for example, it's an issue. There's something much more than that. Especially a child who was not supposed to having that tendency. A child who, for example, was very bold, will go anywhere, start telling you that no, I'm afraid to go there. I don't want to go there.
mm,
But sometimes you send the child will call for the other sibling. That can you come and let's go and do this thing? It's a sign. Sometimes it can be so subtle. Maybe even be a cartoon that they've watched, for example, and they saw something that affected them.
mm,
You need
mm,
to talk to them so as to correct it. We'll get the solution. We're just trying to help you identify the differences. And remember, it's not exhaustive. There are just so many signs. If you have a child who, for example, always wants to tell you something, but is never saying the thing, maybe he or she just wants you to dig deeper. There's surely something that's underneath. He or she wants to be sure that you're ready to hear and they have your attention. Because when they have your full attention, they know that you will give yourself
mm,
fully to them.
mm,
And they don't want to start saying something that you will not hear. It hurts children a lot when they try to communicate to us and they feel that we're not listening to them. They rather withdraw. So if a child wants to tell you something, but he or she never really tells you the real thing, then there's a problem. There's something inside that you need to dig deeper to find. A child that cries at the least thing, who was not supposed to be a crybaby, that crying, the least thing, something that should not even warrant crying. Then the child will cry until you're wondering if it's only that particular thing that is what disturbing the child. The
wow.
child's confidence is being affected. A
Mm,
child who starts becoming stubborn, a child who was normally obedient. These tendencies can be there and there's really no problem. But you need to investigate to be sure that's just a natural evolution of a child to now know
mm,
how to
mm,
correct all of that. But sometimes it reflects a problem in confidence, a lack in confidence or self-esteem that is being hindered, that you need to address it immediately. So a child becomes overly stubborn. You talk to the child will not do it. Or a child was very orderly, becomes very scattered, doesn't pay attention to anything. And the last one I'll talk about, the child will become very forgetful. The child
mm,
does not remember, give instruction, doesn't even remember. Like he or she's just lost in space. It's time for you to draw the child and try to find out. The way that males or females express it is also different. Ladies are generally emotional, so there's a way that they'll express it. But males, on the other hand, most of the time they want to toughen up and want to show that. But now, when you talk to them softly, you can still break that toughen up nature that they're putting up, and you get the
mm,
baby out of
mm.
them, and they're going to tell you whatever is happening to them.
or this one, a child that was close to you, coming close every
Yes,
time
yes, yes,
and
yes.
doesn't want to come again, or rather sees you and feels scared.
Yes, and is
Yeah.
running away.
Mm.
Another sign is a child who doesn't want a particular person in the house. For some children who, for example, if you used to go out with them and maybe say, "Oh, you're going to visit this person," and the child's like, "No, I don't want to go there," or you mention a particular name and the child becomes very, hmm, you may want to check again. Be sure that there's no abuse somewhere. The abuse can be physical, can be emotional, it can be mental. So you need to check to
The
be sure. It
verbal
can be verbal
and all of
abuse
that.
too.
Mm.
So sometimes people say things to children. I'm sure we can all remember that one thing that somebody said to you can be a teacher that decades have passed, but it's still in your mind. Those words sink deep. Children, as small as they are, they can also be hurt. So sometimes somebody can throw a slang and it hurts the child and it causes the child's self-esteem and confidence just be destroyed just by a word that the child says. So it's now your place to correct that and cancel that and then now declare something different.
Wow, thank you so much for that. This is getting more interesting and I'm learning much. I've been learning a lot from her concerning caring for our kids. Like we always tell you in marriage, realize where your partner is stronger and key in, hop in to your partner to get the wisdom that's required to succeed in your marriage and in
Mhm.
life. This is one area for me. So now we are going to be looking at the remedy. What are the different things that can be done when you notice
Yeah.
that your child is having this challenge?
The very first thing, of course, after praying, you must always pray for your children. Very important. Because sometimes in the place of prayer, that God will reveal some things to you when they're
Mm,
even at a very birth stage. That when you manifest, you really see it coming and
mm.
you handle it. So the matter one is the first of the first.
Prayer, prayer.
Praying for your children and then for your child, one after another.
Mhm,
Don't
mhm.
say I'm praying for my children. Take one after another as you pray for them as individuals. God will open your eyes, see things that are specific to that child. The second is to talk to the child. My God, we call it the intentional bonding time. The intentional bonding time is the time that we encourage every parent to have with each child a day. Should be at least 5 minutes. It's just sometimes it can be challenging, especially children that talk. My God,
Mm.
they can. But if you can have 10 minutes per day for a child, that will say if you have 10 children and 10 minutes. That's what it's going to be now. It's that the fewer the children, the more you can give time to them. But even that many, the Lord will give you grace to still be able to create that bond with them. That's the easiest way to create a bond with your children. We are no longer in the millennial generation. We've left. This is the alpha. Very soon we're entering the beta generation already. There are children whose brains are fast. Our children, the way they reason sometimes, my God, their IQ
Mm.
is something else. No longer the way that it was in our generation. So we need to become alpha parents automatically. What does it mean to become an alpha parent? An example is that you put yourself in the alpha generation, you think like them. So don't say that during my time, how many intentional bonding times did I have with my parents that they will call me to be talking. What did they have? It's not the cane. This generation is not just the cane that will work. You need to dialogue with them. That's one of the highest things this generation needs. Create a bond with your children. You can start from somewhere. I remember when my parent coach was working on me in that light about being intentional in creating this intentional bond with children, hugging your children, telling them you love them. I love you so much. I'm so happy that God blessed us with you. You're just a blessing. It was not easy. It seems
Of
easy.
course, it was more difficult for me.
Yes. My mother used to tell you to say it. I was saying, say it. Yes. But it broke something. I tell you, I cannot explain it,
Now,
but
this experience I had with one, you remember,
yes.
I, I was so busy that when I started returning home, she was running away from me. I'll carry her, she will cry. It was like, who is this? I don't know this man. And so I began to spend a lot of time with her. And now when I'm returning, she's the one running to come and receive me.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the one
Oh,
running to
my
come and receive
daddy is
me. You see?
back.
And she will run and go and tell the mother that daddy is around.
Yeah.
I should be waiting for me to open the door. You see,
Mm.
so this is very important. Hugging your children allowing them to jump on you, play on you. They want you to carry them. They want you to walk around with them. Do
Mm.
it. Don't feel that it's boring.
At
Yes.
all. It means everything to the child. Sometimes you can buy the child all the gifts in the world, especially if it's a child whose love language is quality time and he or she does not respond to gifts. The gifts will mean nothing to the child. All the child wants is you. Those are time that you carry,
Mm.
especially if it's a girl and she receives affection from her father, it changes everything. Her self-esteem, her confidence is being built. The father you can carry her and put her on your
Mm.
lap, for example, and just talk to her and tell her you're so beautiful. It breaks something. At the beginning, it's very difficult. If you have not been doing it, especially,
Mm.
it was
Mm.
not easy for me. Now I'm saying that was difficult when I started it. It's really to intentionally tell the child I love you. Now when I even forget those that mommy loves you, they'll say it on my behalf. Then
Mm.
I'll just repeat it because I always say that to them. So
Mm.
it's very, very important. Mommy and daddy love you so much and we care about you. You're our priority. We want the best for you. Even when I'm correcting them. When I finish beating, I will assure them about my love for them. And it's not from a sincere place, so
Mm.
they'll always receive it. So create that bond. It starts from there. If you've not created it before, start creating it. Now, when you find that your child is losing confidence, it's time to make the bond stronger. It's time to spend more time with the child. It's time to bring the child closer to you because the child will start withdrawing. So you now make the effort to bring the child closer to you. The similar thing that you do when your children get to the teenage years. I know that those who have teenage children can attest. It's not always a funny period. It's
Mm.
the same modus operandi. You bring them closer to you. You spend enough time filling their emotional love tank. The
Mm.
emotional tank is what helps the child to feel loved. You do a lot of deposits instead of withdrawals. Withdrawals is whatever thing that will make the child not feel wanted. Those things will always come just to know how to balance it. For example, when you punish a child, you're doing a withdrawal. You have to do it sometimes, but ensure that you should do a deposit whenever you're doing a
Mm.
withdrawal. So as to balance it up. That's
Maybe
why it's
take them
important.
for an outing.
Yep.
Take that child for an outing.
Oh, I
Ask the child
love
to
it.
do something the child used to do that were preventing the child from doing.
Yeah,
Mm. Carry them, play with them, talk to them, tell them how strong and powerful they are.
very important.
Mm. Mm.
When that bond is established, it's easier to identify when the child's confidence being affected, and it's easy for you to step in and help. Because when you are remember we're talking about children, we're not talking about teenagers or the rest. When you've never been present and then you want to start doing during the teenage years, it becomes a bit difficult. But it doesn't mean that it's impossible. It just means that you need to put in much more effort. It's the same thing if you've not been doing it before, just start from somewhere and you build from there. And before you know it, you feel how that child is being drawn towards you emotionally.
And gradually, confidence is restored. We are going to come back to this again.
Yep.
Thank you so much, my beautiful wife,
Thank you, babe.
the director of HSOM, for this. Stay tuned on this. You can ask questions,
Yep.
leave comments, like, and ask your question. We are going to reply them. One of the things we do is that we always reply to comments on our channel. And again, if you have more questions, you can get to us inbox. We are going to give you details on this. Thank you very much for watching and stay tuned to HSOM.